Testing.
Oh, that works.
Good. Testing. Welcome everybody. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. If you like, there are refreshments in the back as well as the sign-in area. So if you haven't made your way to the back, feel free to do so and get some refreshments to sign in. Welcome again. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. Testing.
Testing, testing.
Hello, folks. We're about to get started. Haven't already got something to eat and drink in the back? Feel free to do so. Kitchen in the back.
Test. Hello, hello.
Welcome, everyone. Getting started in about 2 minutes. Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for coming out today to talk about the issue of high utility bill is $9 billion Florida Power and rate increase. My name is Elijah Manley, and I'll be your moderator tonight for this town hall. I'm a teacher, a progressive activist, and like many of you, a longtime customer of FPL with my family, not because I want to be, but because, like so many of you, I didn't have a choice. They are a monopoly, FPL. You don't really get to choose FPL, but they choose us. Before we get started with this town hall, I want to share part of my story with all of you and make it clear why we need to fight back against this rate increase. A lot of us in South Florida are struggling to afford to pay our light and our water bills. That was the case for my family growing up. We would have to shower at the beach before dawn came out. My family and I was homeless. I experienced childhood homeless growing up. And we got evicted, we lost everything, and part of that eviction story was our lights and our water cutting off. We couldn't afford to keep up with the FPL light bill that was a runaway light bill, meaning it kept going up and up and up while our wages just wasn't moving. So we lost everything, and we showered at the beach before the sun came out. We were literally in the dark due to FPL. FPL turned off our power because my mother couldn't afford it. That's probably happening to so many people across South Florida right now, here in Broward County. Family, friends, neighbors who cannot afford to keep their lights on or pay their water bill because these utility companies are out of control. And the ones in charge of regulating these companies are not doing their job. They're captured by the industry. Last month, FPL filed a rate increase with the Florida Public Service Commission asking to raise rates so that they can collect $9 from us over the next few years. $9 billion. This is the largest rate hike request in United States history, and it came after the Florida Public Service Commission approved a 10% increase in December to dig into our pockets to pay for the damage from the hurricanes last year, to dig in the pockets of working to allow a corporation to bring in more profits for themselves. This mic is not liking me. FPL is way too comfortable. So some groups like Florida Rising, Catalyst Miami, Faith in Florida, Food and Water Watch came together to put on this town hall to give the public a space to oppose their rate increase and also talk through what we can do about it, what we, the people, can do about corporate greed. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to Mackenzie Marcelin. He's the Deputy Campaigns Director for Florida Rising. Florida Rising is one of the groups challenging FPL's rate increase. Mackenzie will talk more about the rate increase and its potential impact on us. So Mackenzie, what is this FPL rate case? How will it impact us? And what can organizing do to help contribute to a better settlement for all of us?
Hello, hello. Hi. Yeah, as Elijah has said, I'm the Deputy Campaigns Director for Florida Rising. If y'all don't know who Florida Rising is, we're a political organization focused on building political power for Black and brown communities. And we turn people out to elections, but we also have buckets of work, and climate justice is one of those things. And actually in 2021, we actually became an intervening party in the last FPL rate case, right? And for those that are not familiar, what a rate case is just like a formal process to where the Public Service Commission, a body of 5 appointed people by the governor, that are supposed to set fair rates and negotiate with the utilities to set fair rates for Florida consumers. Going back to what a rate case is, it's like I said, it's just a formal process for them to Florida Power to set how much FPL or other utilities can charge you. And right now, this year, yeah, so, sorry about that. In 2021, like I said, we got involved in this process, and they actually charged, they were actually to set their rates for the highest rates in Florida history. And it was around $2 billion, and now so they're exceeding that now. And we thought that wasn't fair and just then, right? That wasn't a fair rate, especially coming off of the pandemic with an economic crisis that's impacted everyone. And so they decided to set the highest rate, or request the highest rate increase in Florida history. And so we intervened as a party, because oftentimes there's no one that looks like us that looks like us in these rate case spaces. And so as a party, we wanted to intervene and actually have consumers be a part of this process, and speak their piece about the rates that Florida Power and Light wants to set for you all. So this year, FPL, like Elijah said, wants to set the highest rates in U.S. history. So that's, I think, $9.8 billion over the next 4 years. So it's almost $10 billion, right? And what that means is our bills will go up, right? And they said it's around like 400 and rise in annual costs for annually for consumers, right? For us, and that's obviously, again, we're still we hear talks of tariffs and recessions and prices going up on things, and so adding another cost, raising another additional cost is just going to continue to further have an impact on us, right? And so what we want to do is raise our voices. We intervene in this party and intervene as a party again. And so what our goal is to justify and show that this rate increase is unjust, it's unfair, and we don't need it. And so how y'all can come into this is that they actually host customer service hearings. The Public Service Commission, the people that are supposed to serve you, are going to be coming down to, I think, Pembroke Pines and having customer service hearings across the state of Florida. And what we need is your voice. We need your voice collectively to say, hey, we are not, how you feel about this rate increase, right? How you feel about FPL, and so forth. And what that does is makes our argument stronger in the actual rate case, right? We can say, we can say that that there are a plethora of people, so many people out here saying that we do not want this rate increase, and by us doing that, it helps justify and strengthens our arguments, at the Public Service Commission hearings. So yeah, that's something that you all can do. I'm sure once we get more solidified dates, I'm sure we'll get in contact with everyone and tell your family members, tell everyone that these customer service hearings are happening. I'm sure we'll also share like some ways you can get directly in contact with the Public Service Commission as well. And then lastly, we're Florida Rising. We're going to try and organize to actually go to the Broward County Commission, so your elected officials, because they also play a role in this. They can push and advocate for not only more public service hearings, right? Because you only have one, and I feel like that's not enough, right? We need more service hearings. They need to hear the voices of more people. And so yeah, we plan to go to the county commission and try and make them to make a call and urge FPL and urge the Public Service Commission to one, increase the customer service hearings, but also make a call to not accept this rate increase either, right? So yeah, those are some of the things y'all can do.
Well, thank you, Mackenzie, for that overview on what the rate increase is, what the Public Service Commission is, and how we can fight back against this increase. A lot of times in Florida, they are counting on the people not paying attention and not looking. They like to operate in the dark, whether it's the legislature in the middle of the night or these commissions taking votes because nobody shows up. So being active, being present, and being vigilant is how we fight back. So next we'll hear from Dr. Cheryl Holder, who is an internist and executive director of Florida Clinicians for Climate Action, who will share new research that details how escalating utility bills and dangerously hot homes exacerbate health and well-being risks for vulnerable households. Dr. Holder, what is extreme heat and how does it impact the body?
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I got one question. Anyone here in South Florida in 1970s? Okay. In 1970s, we had about 84 days where it was 90 degrees or more. 84 days. That's about 2.5 months. That's when we used to have regular summers, and by October we cooled down, and then you got hotter. The last data, over 130-something days of this high temperature. So when we are looking at this light bill rise, it's not just that we want money to go hang out and play around and go on vacation. We're talking about life and death. Because for my patients that I've worked with for 40 years in South Florida, that increase in temperature, that increase in the bill, especially on a fixed income, means you're choosing between food and medications. And that's no longer that I just don't want to pay a high bill. And that's why we're here, to have our community speak up for yourselves and others, because it's now life or death. And when the days are so many more days that are hot, the burden is incredibly great for everyone who is suffering, especially for our low-wealth communities. Extreme heat, there are lots of different definitions. I can give you the government definition that Miami-Dade County uses, which is several days in a row, probably 2 to 3 days, where it's over 90 degrees, feel-like temperatures, and it's hot. And when you look at a health reason, I look at when the temperature is so hot, especially if you have to work, and it's harder to sweat because it's very humid, and it's hot and uncomfortable. If you have any kind of medical problems, you're at risk. So for some people, especially those who work outdoors, extreme heat can be 88 degrees feel-like temperature, but because they are moving around and they have on all this other work clothes, their bodies are hot. And anytime your body heats up, your body is not supposed to get real hot. You know, when babies go like 99, how do you feel? 100 degrees, doesn't everybody get a little panicky? You saw the little baby here. If that baby's temperature goes up real high, your body really needs to stay in the normal range. And when you start getting hotter and hotter, if you have any underlying medical problems, it can worsen it. So healthy people can go out in the heat and still have heat strokes. They can still die. Our farm workers are dying, our construction workers have problems. And one thing that we don't even talk about with extreme heat when you're hot is that you make mistakes. And so people fall off ladders and they make other mistakes. Kids don't learn as well. So, and this is all proven data. We know that the heat impacts everyone day to day. And so those rise that we're talking about, the indoor temperatures are even hotter. And in many communities, because we have so much concrete everywhere, it doesn't cool down at night because the concrete sends back the heat that it collected all day. So now you can't afford your AC, you're in a hot house day and night, it puts you at more risk. You also don't sleep well. And what happens when you get a little bit cranky and sleepy? You make bad decisions and you fight with each other. So we see more interpersonal violence. We see more anger. We see less learning. All of that impacts health. There was a study that was just released, was done with University of Miami, Catalyst, and many communities, and it went to communities, and they went about 57 households. Energy burden, if you're paying more than 6% of your income on your light bill, that impacts you. If you're up to 10%, that's more than you should be paying. It really impacts your health, and that's what the studies show. People who are paying like 10% of their income just to try and keep cool had more health problems, and they were just more stressed. When you think if you make $1,000 and you're paying over $100 a month just to keep cool and keep your energy cost, take that out of everything else you gotta do, there's no money left. So we really have to now work together to try and control these rate increases, because I gave these handouts here and you can read it, because this increase in temperature in our planet is not gonna get less. We're gonna keep going from 130-something days, even more days hot. So you're looking at paying 6 months huge bills. So if we don't work together as a community and say, this is life and death. It's no longer, I just want to be able to go party on South Beach or go whatever you want to do. It's about life and death. So look at what's happening to our planet. Florida clinicians, this is what we do. We let people know that the planet's overheated because of the pollution, and that's heating is impacting the weather. You're getting all these storms, and you're getting heat, and the heat kills. #1 weather-related killer. So thank you, and there's more questions later.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for either Mackenzie or Dr. Holder, you should have question cards. Just fill them out and hold them up, and someone will come by and grab them. And thank you, Dr. Holder, for those comments. We know this is all intersectional. I mean, we see that the legislature is taking away heat protections for workers, especially our construction workers, for people working outdoors, indoors. We see this in the prisons as well, the sweltering heat. And during my time at the Department of Labor, Florida was the top state we were focused on when it came to heat protections for workers and for residents, and our state isn't doing enough. So next, am I going crazy? So thank you again. So next, I'm going to introduce Maria Claudia Schubert Fontes, who will talk about the PAUSE Act and why it's needed to protect us from the threat of extreme heat.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Oh, sorry. So most of us work really hard to keep our families healthy, to keep our families safe. But the rising prices of utility bills combined with the overall increase in the cost of living has left a lot of people in our communities struggling to pay their bills. As our summers become hotter, like Dr. Cheryl Holder just shared, we also are seeing extreme weather events like hurricanes become a lot stronger, become a lot more frequent. And it seems like every year we have these devastating hurricanes hitting Florida. My organization and a group of organizations throughout the state of Florida have been working together on a piece of legislation that would pass at the state level. And this would provide, this is called the Protect Access to Utility Services During Emergencies Act. We call it the PAWS Act for short. And it would provide life-saving protections when our communities need them the most. This legislation would prevent utility shutoffs, so any kind of utility disconnection, water or energy shutoff during times of extreme heat or cold, and during governor-declared states of emergency, so things like hurricanes, things like the pandemics, the state government would prevent disconnections during those times. And this bill is also really important because it would require utility corporations to provide these notices in both Spanish and English. Florida is currently one of the only states in the South that doesn't have a statewide protection against utility disconnections. We're one of the only states that doesn't have any type of protection for extreme weather utility prevention. And our communities are currently bracing for the upcoming FPL rate increase. This increase is going to continue to impact people's pockets, and Floridians are already suffering through an affordability crisis. We're the state with the highest property insurance rates in the country. We have some of the highest rents in the country, and we're also one of the states in the country with some of the lowest wages. So we're really seeing Floridians throughout the state being crushed by this affordability crisis. We're seeing FPL increase their rates, and we're also seeing these extreme weather events happening more and more frequently. And so we believe now is the time for our legislators at the state level to take action to make sure that they're protecting the most vulnerable people. And right now, half of all low-income households in Florida pay at least 6% of their household income just for their light bill. So that's 6% of their income that could be going other places and is being taken out of their pockets to pay their light bills. And that means that lots of households are having to make really tough choices, like what Dr. Holder shared. And so many folks are going to have to choose between buying groceries or buying their needed medications, just to keep the lights on. And they're already, again, struggling either to pay for their insurance or to pay for their rents. And when the lights go out, it's not just dangerous for our body's health, but it can also mean a lot for other sources of income. So for example, if our fridge goes out, our food will spoil. If we have medication in the fridge that needs to be refrigerated, that will also go bad. Folks that rely on things like ventilators or other machines for their health will also be put at risk. And in the midst of all of this, we used to have, our country has a assistance program. I don't know if folks have heard of the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program.
Here we easily do an event.
It's called LIHEAP. I don't know if folks have heard of it. It basically just helps you pay for your energy bill if you're in an economic hardship. So if you're having trouble paying your energy bill that month, that money comes from the county. It comes from the federal government, but it gets distributed by the county, and they're able to help you pay your bill. Well, unfortunately, that program staff was cut at the federal level. So that staff last week was cut. And so we don't know what's going to happen with the remaining money that still hasn't been given to the state of Florida. And in Broward County specifically, the county has run out of LIHEAP funds. So that means that residents in Broward County right now, when you go to the page to apply, they're no longer taking applications. And this is a big problem because we haven't even reached summer. And summer is when we get the most people applying to the program because it's when people's energy bills get very high. And so this is a big concern for us, and we're very concerned about how this is going to impact Broward County residents. Since March, the application portal has been closed, and without access to this emergency funding, our neighbors are going to be left with even more vulnerable to shutoffs. FPL claims to already have protections, but of the approximately 175 days that were over 90 degrees in the Fort Lauderdale, Broward area, their protections would have only kicked in for 1 day. So if you think of all the extremely hot days and nights that you experienced last year, there's probably only one where those shut-off protections were actually happening. And so think of all the extremely hot days and nights where households throughout the county would have been left without access to energy. What we're requesting with the PAWS Act doesn't hurt the financial profits of utilities. They could still collect their bills. It just offers our community members protections during the most dangerous days of the year. It gives them a buffer to be protected when they need it most. And we need our legislators to fight for protections like the PAWS Act. Specifically, Representative LaMarca and Senator Pizzo both have the power to move the bill forward and ensure that it's heard in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. These are your representatives in Broward County, and if you are in their districts, your call, your story to them is really meaningful and would really make a big impact. If you want to get involved more and learn more about the PAWS Act, please feel free to approach me. If you have a story you would like to share, please let me know. I'd love to get more folks involved throughout the state of Florida, specifically in Broward, just because of the way that the LIHEAP funding is lacking right now. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Maria Claudia, for making us all aware of how important this is, the PAWS Act. Before we go into the Q&A, I just want everyone to take 2 minutes to send a letter to your legislators that are responsible for moving this bill forward. So there should be a QR code that you should have, or is it somewhere? There's no QR code? Okay, well, we'll share that later, but if you want on your phone, Senator Jason Pizzo, I think he's Senate District 38, and Representative Chip LaMarca, that's both my state senator and my state rep, so I will be sending a letter as well. So please do, even if you're not in their district, that you are going to be affected by this, and it's important that you make sure your voice is heard because they're supposed to be representing us, not FPL. So yes, it'll be Senator Jason Pizzo and Representative Chip LaMarca. They're both Broward Democrats. So now we're going to open up the floor for question and answer. So if you'd like to line up right here, we have a mic for you. Okay, or if you want to stay where you are or you want to come up here, feel free to come up here.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? I came in late, so I'm not sure whether or not you all discussed this, but the main reason why I came up to this meeting is because it is my understanding that the governor, please, help me if I'm saying this correct, the governor wants to pass a bill, or the House or someone up in Tallahassee wants to pass a bill in regards to property taxes, eliminating property taxes in Broward County in regards to the city and also, county, which means that anything that your property taxes pays for right now will no longer be done. Which means that's what? Fire, police, schools, anything that's in this community. And so I don't know if that's just something that they're doing. Can you all discuss it a little bit further in regards to that? And the part two to that is that he wants to in order for him to pay for it, he wants to increase your utility bills. So I just want to see if that's my main reason for coming. For coming to this meeting, because I thought we was going to be discussing that.
Anybody here want to talk about it?
I just Googled it, and he does want this, and this is one of the big things that a lot of libertarian governments are looking at, but he would do it through a constitutional amendment in 2026. So it's not going to be on this legislative session, but he's looking for it in 2026 as a constitutional amendment. This session, there is a bill that is trying to change what percentage of voters are needed to pass things on the Constitution. So I think right now it's 60%. They're trying to raise that. So I'm not sure if they're going to skip raising it because he wants this next year. And if he raises the amount of votes to get something on the Constitution amendment, it's going to be harder to get his property elimination tax through next year. So it's going to be very dependent on what happens in this session on what's allowed to be on the Constitution. So you should follow that also, because that's been our biggest tool in Florida, is having the citizens go and vote for the laws that we wanted by putting it in the Constitution. And they're trying to make that more difficult this session.
So I just want to be clear, he is trying to do that?
Yes, but it's for 2026.
Okay, is there any questions? I'll come down to you.
I just wanted to tag on what Elijah said about contacting your representative, whether it's do both, the senator and your state representative. Do not delay in doing that. Please do so by Friday. Really tonight. I really want y'all to go home and do that, or by tomorrow. But Friday when you wake up, if you hadn't done it by tonight or tomorrow, first thing Friday morning, because the legislation session is moving. So it's very imperative that you don't wait to contact and if I'm not mistaken, we have a letter already kind of formulated that okay. There will be a QR code at the end to make the process easy. It'll already be written out for you, and you just call them, write them, email them immediately.
Thank you for the info.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Patrick. I hear everything they're saying about FP&L. I have an elderly mother. A few months ago, there was a transformer that blew out in the neighborhood, and my mother was on oxygen at the time. So I called FP&L, and they gave me the runaround. Well, we can't tell you when the lights are going to be on and everything. So we ended up calling the fire department because she could no longer be on oxygen because, it was no power. And the portable oxygen tank, it wasn't working. So my brother called the fire department, and they came and they brought an additional one. But they didn't show any type of compassion or nothing, and it's just really, really sad. So, but that's just one story, that it ought to be something put in place where in case of emergencies like that, even if the house doesn't have a generator, that, they can still have power to use whatever medical equipment there is that they're using. Okay, so that was one scenario. The next issue, since this is the name of the organization is Florida Arising. Oh, okay. But anyway, here in the community of Broward County, city of Fort Lauderdale, we have an issue. Over on 31st Avenue, they're closing in the rock pit. And they want to build warehouses, single-family homes, apartments on that lake. And we already know that that land over there is toxic. Not only that, they're talking about doing a movie studio. We are against that, and I have a petition tonight, anyone who wants to sign, because they're trying to rezone the area, that right now the area is commercial. Not commercial, it's residential, and they want to have it rezoned as commercial. We don't want that. And not only that, if they fill in that lake, which they're already doing parts of it, it's going to cause the whole area to flood. We don't flood in our area, but if they do that, that's a runoff for the whole Broward County, and it's going to cause flooding. Golden Heights is going to flood out. Lake Erie is going to flood out. Broward Gardens, everything on that east side of 31st Avenue is going to flood out, and we don't want that to happen. We're looking for help. We're looking for signatures. We're looking for any and everybody who can fight with us and so that we can oppose what they're trying to do. Thank you.
I'm going to sign that. Let me make sure. I
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, we have a few organizers, Broward organizers here. We can get in connection and see what we can do about that and support.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beretha Howard, and I'm with the Clio Institute. Hi, Dr. Holder, Maria Claudia, and Florida Rising. We all work together. We're organizations that bring climate awareness, extreme heat, extreme hurricane preparedness to the community. It's a cohort that we have a paid stipend, and we've been very successful in bringing these type of issues to people, especially women, so that they will be able to understand their power of voting, power of advocacy, like you all are here doing. And I just wanted to let you know about that opportunity. I have some flyers if you're interested, if you know of anyone. We're working on starting another one soon, so we'll be open for registration. And this is also the program manager right here, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I think we have a question on water bills, if anyone, and then I'm going to come up front.
Hello, my name is Tanya Edwards. I live in the city of Fort Lauderdale on Northwest 28th Avenue with my mother, Benny Edwards, who is a senior citizen and is on a fixed income. Back in November, she received a $3,000 water bill for 1 month. That was one of 3 excessively high water bills that we have received from the city of Fort Lauderdale since last September. We do not run a salon in our house. We do not have a pool. We do not wash cars at our house. Our next door neighbor is a plumber. And we did a leak detection service twice, and there were no leaks. I have been consistently, and I have receipts of everything that we have done to get this issue mitigated and resolved. I have gone to the city commissioner, Pam Beasley Pittman. She says she's working on it, but they've been working on it since November of last year. So if there's any way, and as of now, our bill is now $2,757.71 as of today. So if there's anything that Florida Rising or anyone else can do to help us resolve this, we really appreciate it. But that was just one of 3 bills. We got one for $3,000, one for $1,000, and another one for $700. And they were not consecutive months. They were sporadic. They were one was in August, another one was in December, and another one was in January.
But before I do, Christine, anyone want to address that? I mean,
I can't speak to it. That's ridiculous. But we can talk and see what we can figure out.
make sure to connect with folks up here before you leave today. Christine?
Just one thing, we can connect later, but what we've seen in the past that has worked is actually talking to some of our in-district legislators when they're here. So maybe going to Lamarca or Pizzo's office and getting them, because sometimes they can get local officials a lot faster than we can, unfortunately. So we can talk about a case that's happened in Miami, and that's kind of worked. Sometimes getting the local electeds involved is helpful.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine Jones. I live in Lauderdale Manor. First thing you do with that water bill, you call Help Me Howard. That's what you need to do. You need to get Help Me Howard in addition to your legislators as well. Don't play with this, because my water bill one time was $900. But that's because I had a sprinkler system out there, not a well. So I put a well in my yard. You understand? So, we need to be on top of this. I am so glad that these organizations are here. What I'd like for you all to do, though, was to tell us who you are again and tell us how we can find you guys on websites, because you guys didn't bring us in the documentation to indicate who you really are and what you really do. To me, that's more important here. And another thing that's more important than anything, we need to vote, because your life depends on this. You think the water bill is going to be a problem? You think the light bill is going to be a problem? We ain't gonna be able to eat in a minute. This is why we need to vote and vote, because our life depends on this. I've been voting since 1971 when they allowed me to register to vote at 21. I'm 75 now. So don't take no crap. Help Me Howard, first of all, please call Help Me Howard. Call me if you need me to go raise sand with you too. I don't have a problem in that. I'm good at that. But again, Elijah, y'all please give us information on your organizations, because we need to get in touch with that. Thank you.
Yes, definitely connect with Christine. She'll march down to City Hall. I mean, there's no City Hall right there right now, but she'll march down there and she'll take care of that for you. If you guys like to.
I gave out the climate and health information. Right at the bottom, it says www.floridaclinicians.org. There you will see all the information. You'll learn a lot about climate and health. And there's a little email box that you can send emails. We all respond to it and contact you and help and see what we do. We are a training organization in training clinicians and doing research and bringing this message to the community. We are also similar to Clio, that we like to train health professionals to go out and do the work. So I will come to the larger events, but we then want you to, if you have a nurse in your family, a health worker, community worker, any sort of person who works in health, we will take them in our group and we train them to do this message, and there's a small stipend when they go out and do the work. We want to build the community's capacity to be able to do what I do, because I'll tell you, in terms of black physicians, okay, let me see if you know. There are 1 million doctors in the country. How many black physicians do you think there are? Of the 1 million? Less than 50,000. Black women, I am 2.8% of the doctors here. 2.8%. So when folks say black doctors are not doing this, there are just not that many of us. So, and black females, there are not that many of us. So what we do in FCCA is try and train folks. So just like Ms. Howard Baritha talked about training and empowering women, we like to take the health professionals and do this training so they can come out. And like when you talk about flooding, that's huge health issues, because what we see is diarrheal illnesses in the children. They get a lot of skin rashes, and then you get mold. So the flooding is not just that, again, uncomfortable. It's the houses get wet and you get mold. When you get mold, a lot of lung problems and irritation that is very difficult to take care of. If you know anybody who's had mold in their houses, you know how sick they are. So this is where we have to bring the message, but there are not enough doctors who look like me to do this. And this whole study was done, and we invited a lot of the people who did this study. I can come and report on it. So that's where I leave it.
Thank you. Stella is going around with a iPad, so you can sign in so we can get all this information to you and make sure you have it. Also, there was a question that came in, and any of you can answer it, of how people can actually get their comments to the Public Service Commission to talk about this rate increase. Or, okay.
Testing, okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessa. I work with Florida Rising. I want to thank Christine for her comments. By the way, Christine, you are a phenomenal public speaker. Like, we were just saying, like, I wish we had you at several events. But anyway, just wanted to speak to Christine's questions. In Florida Rising, we host training workshops. So, constituents such as yourself can speak to legislators. Just a few weeks ago, we were in Tallahassee. To Maria's comment, we spoke with, we were at Senator Pizzo, we passed by Senator Pizzo's office, I should say. But I bring this up because we do provide you guys with opportunities to speak with your representatives in person. We train you to speak with them. Mackenzie, our deputy campaigns director, provides you with resources, right? So we can confront these matters, and especially to this lady here, right? Like, we need these stories, right? We need to uplift these stories. No one should be paying $3,900, $500 for a water bill. So please, you can find myself. My name is Vanessa. We have Delise here. She's one of our members. We have Karen, Antoine. We have basically this whole role here is Florida Rising organizers. So yeah, thank you so much.
tell folks how they could reach the Public Service Commission. How do you submit a complaint or not a complaint, a comment to the Public Service Commission?
So there's two ways. So you can submit a complaint to the docket, which is basically just the website of the PSC. And that's a direct docket. It goes directly into the file. When they look up the history of the case, that message will be there. It's like within the legal documents. But more impactful than, so that's great, and we would love, that's a great starting point. You can do that right now. But we really need folks to show up on the actual day that the PSC comes down here. It's one of the only in-person opportunities we have for, 4 years until the next one. They love to stay in Tallahassee. They don't like to make in-person appearances. And over the years, they've made less and less in-person appearances. So this is one of the only opportunities we have to look them in the eyes and tell them our story and make sure that our story gets documented as part of the legal case, so that when they're making their decision, they're looking at our stories, and that's part of the case as a whole. They don't just listen to FPL and what FPL has to say.
There's more questions? I saw a hand over here. I'm not sure.
When is it?
So the date, it's going to be May 29th on a Thursday at 9:30? In Hollywood. And then the West Palm Beach one is at 6 p.m. on that same day. And Miami, if you're trying to go to the Miami one, it would be the day before on the 28th. Let me know if I need to repeat that. So Thursday, the 29th, at 9:30 a.m. it will be in Hollywood. And then at 6 p.m. it will be in West Palm Beach. They don't have specific locations yet, but we can share that out afterwards.
Importance of folks signing in, right? Because we want to make sure we keep in touch with you, because once we get the location, we want to tell you all about that. And then also, I'm sure as a collective, we're going to put together trainings to help people prepare for those service hearings. Just we'll continue to keep in touch. And I just wanted to say as well, this rate increase, right? Florida Power and Light, they are a business, right? They are beholden to their shareholders, and not necessarily the public. Their focus and their goal is increasing profits, right? And so we really have to collectively come together and really hold our local elected officials and the Public Service Commission accountable, and really express again, how you feel about this rate increase. Florida Power and Light, the one thing that they do not like, they have tons of money, they got some, elected officials in their pockets, but one thing they do not like is negative public press, right? So it's critical, and it's super important for you to share your stories. Tell them how you feel about FPL. Tell them about the greed the greed that FPL is doing, and so forth, and just really uplift that and really make some noise, right? Talk to your local commissioners, come to the service hearings, and just really let it all out, because they do not like bad press.
I have a question. Looking at another approach of getting the message across, have we looked at and anywhere tried where we got a collective action of unplugging all our appliances, unplugging some things, and decreasing our use of electricity for a consistent time? Because we pay for usage. Because not just low wealth, but everybody. And letting them see, is there a consistent loss that they're going to experience? I don't know any other way, because I don't see a lot of response. Just honestly, I don't see a lot of response anymore, because they have a supermajority in the legislature, so they tend to go what I call tribal policy. So I don't know how else we are going to get the message if it's not just a minority of people going. How do we get all of the people, not just people who look like us, who are unable to afford it, but have the other people also who, even if they can afford it, speak up and say it's just wrong? So how do we get everybody to start working, whether it's a collective action where like we stop going to Walmart, some sort of collective action? I don't know what's been taught about.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest unplugging your appliances, right? But I like, just being outside the box, being creative, because it is going to take a collective of us, right? I can give you an example of like an action where there was a bill that was passing through the Senate, and it was on solar, community solar. Utility companies, they wanted to get rid of community solar because that what that means is lower bills for the collective of folks, right? And that bill actually passed. It got passed by Republicans and Democrats alike. And for me, I was just like, oh man, that's over, right? That's it. But during that time, in the Panhandle, there was a panhandle in DeSantis's base of people, right? That, like, his people, right? They were upset with their FPL bill. FPL recently became their provider, and they were so upset. They went to their commissioners. They were saying, y'all need to do something about these bills. Y'all need to do something. And it was around the time when DeSantis was, wanting to run for president, right? And so, you have this bill that everybody knows is behind, FPL's behind it, and other utility companies are behind it, and he has his base uproared and upset. So what ended up happening, because of not just those folks in that base, but Catalyst Miami, Florida Rising, and a collective of other groups, we fought back and raised noise about getting rid of community solar, and because of that, DeSantis actually vetoed that bill. And so that's what I mean about us collectively coming together and really making some noise, because amazing things can happen. You know what I mean? If we really go to our county commissions, go to those meetings, and really protest about this rate increase, talk about the greed, talk about how it's impacting your families, talk about how it's impacting your homes. And if we collectively organize, we can make, again, something amazing happen, right?
Please don't be afraid to put your hand up for a question. I'll make sure I get over to you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Karen. I am the organizer for Florida Rising in Broward County. So I want to answer to her what we can do, what we do in the past. Somebody have memory of how we changed laws in the past? United, right? We can go and knock doors, let our neighbor know what's going on. This is what we need to do. But a collective power change everything. Your neighbor believe in you. Our community believe in us. So we have an assembly, political assembly, that you can go with Florida Rising. If somebody want to take a note, it's the 4850 West Oakland Boulevard. Oakland Park, sorry. Oakland Park will be on April 24th at 6:30 p.m. We need you. We need each other. We need to fight each other. They are abusing power on us. And the only way is to be together in this fight, because we are the power. And never forget that. We are allowed to change everything what we want. It's only one, and we are 100,000. Never forget that. The day is April 24th at 6:30, 4850 West Oakland Park, okay, Boulevard.
Oh, in addition to that, the office number is two. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Excuse me. Antoine Higgins, Jr., Broward County organizer. The office number is 249. Second floor, yes. So the address is 4850 West Oakland Park Boulevard, Lauderhill, Florida 33311. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's 33313.
And if you guys have any questions, I have cards. You guys can come to me, Karen, Anastasia. We have Vanessa, our comms person, and Mackenzie. Yes, ma'am, I have cards.
All of this information, I will hope, will be sent to you by email if you fill out that tablet that is going around. If you haven't already, please do so. I know there was some more questions back here. Please raise your hand. I know it was this young lady first, and I'm coming to you.
I'm hearing the increase. What is the amount of increase that they're talking about? Because I don't think there's been, I didn't hear it. What percentage?
It's 10 billion. It's 9 billion, close to 10 billion over the next 4 years, and that could mean additional cost for consumers for like over $400 annually, right? So yeah, that's that, and it's the largest in U.S. history.
So please help me to understand. You're telling me that my light bill is going to go up $400
annually. But yeah, like you should, yeah. But yeah, it's
that's enough.
And yeah. Yeah, and that's like an average, so, yeah.
Hey, my name is Lynn. So my question is, what do they want to do with this money? I'm wondering, is it because they want to build the infrastructure for solar power or for wind power or for any other alternate energy sources? I'm for that. I don't want to have to pay that much for it. And I'm wondering, why haven't they done this in the past? So can anybody speak about how much alternate energy does FPL own? And are they themselves helping homeowners set up solar panels to reduce the cost and then, sell it back to or give it to anything extra to FPL? This is what I mean, it's not just about the increase. We want alternate sources, right, to reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere.
That's a great question, and fortunately we have obviously lots of sunshine in Florida, and it is cheaper to use solar energy than other sources of energy. So when FPL uses solar energy, they should be reducing people's energy bills. However, if you subscribe to some of their solar programs, they actually increase. You have to pay extra, even though it's cheaper for them to produce that electricity. There's lots of resources available if you are interested and want to explore going solar on your own. I'm part of a nonprofit called Solar United Neighbors. So we provide support and assistance for those interested in going solar. So yeah, they should be doing more solar energy, but not necessarily increasing the rate. And in addition to that, we have lots of rooftops that we could be using for solar energy instead of doing industrial scale solar. Some of the benefits of distributed solar, or like when you have solar on a rooftop in the place where it's used, like if you have it in your home, is that you need less infrastructure. So there's a lot of losses that happen when you generate electricity far away that then needs to travel to where it's being used. Electricity is opportunistic, so if you're generating electricity and you have excess production, goes out into the grid, you get a credit and your neighbor uses it. Also makes the grid more resilient instead of having one central place where electricity is generated, and what happens if something happens to that power plant, then you have many, many different places being able to generate electricity. So lots of different benefits for energy, and this is really not related to that. I mean, utilities just, for the most part, just want to make more money, and they did it in the past, and then they want to do it again.
Turn it on.
Your question about, are they using the money to invest in improving our climate and improving our overall situation. FPL is part of NextEra, which is one of the largest power companies in the country. So it's not just FPL. And in their last corporate report, they were very proud of having a 10% profit over the last 10 years, which is the highest among all 10 power companies. So they've been making a lot of money that we feel has not really been invested back. They're large corporate-sized solar power. So Florida is, I think, number 2 in the country in moving solar, but they moved in with a corporate-sized way, rather than allowing the individual to really reduce their energy cost. What we look at is, if this were happening, the increase without the energy burden calculation, when you're going over 6% of your income, that's when it's very onerous to the human. So the rate increase, if it were increasing and there was no energy burden, then it's not a problem. You make your 10%, we're all happy, and invest in what's happening in Florida. Unfortunately, they're doing it at the expense of people's lives. So that's when it became a problem, when the energy burden for so many Floridians have gone beyond the 6%. Florida is one of the highest percentage of states where the population pays so much for electricity. And we are absolutely dependent on cooling. And if it weren't this crisis, then you could say it would be okay and make your profits. So there's no problem with profits. We're all basically capitalists and we do understand profits. But when it's profits at the expense of health, because of the percentage of your income that you have to pay for what's an essential need. You cannot live without cooling well, and you can't live without electricity in Florida, and there's no other option because they have monopoly. So that's the problem that we see. And I think as a community, we can help them understand it better and see how they can make profits in other ways. I mean, why only make profits by raising the rates? There may be other things they could do that could keep their profits, and that's what when we go out, we want to help them. I must tell you one thing that the data shows: your mental health improves when you get involved in community actions. So even if you don't win the action, your mental health is better just trying to fight for your rights and trying to fight for your neighbors. So get involved some way, because your mental health will improve. And our mental health is being stressed to the max in this last few years. So getting in a community action to save and reduce our light bill, even if you're not successful, is still worth it. That's the doctor talking.
Thank you, Dr. Holder. And I mean, this is a good segue before we take a few more questions into the organizations that are actually in the room that could be helpful to some of you in your questions. I mean, we have Faith in Florida here, and if there's other organizations that are in the room, feel free to raise your hand. I know I don't want to put you guys on the spot back there. I know there were some folks from Broward County. So Faith in Florida.
Greetings, and my name is Catrice Johnson. I am the lead organizer for the Southern region of Faith in Florida. We are a social justice organization, faith-based, and I am so glad to be a part of this collective and this collaboration. And like the young lady from Florida Rising said, collective power wins. And I just wanted, and I am here to help. I have some follow-ups to do with some people. This what do you call it? Filling the lake, and oh my God, this water bill. We got to get behind these people. Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other organization? I don't know if Broward County wants to talk, or if there's any. No? No? Okay. Anyone else? Any more questions? Feel free. We got time for a couple more back there. Okay.
Hi, my name is Carla. I'm actually coming from Miami. I was really curious about what y'all were informing us about today, and I really appreciate the information. I also came in a little late, so I don't know if this was already answered, but I'm curious, Are there any demands or what sort of demands we can be making as community members at the Public Service Commission when they're here? What sort of oversight do they have on FPL? And so, yeah, maybe as like to come together, know a little bit, and maybe say the same thing.
Yeah, so the Public Service Commission, yeah, they are the ones who approve of the rate increases, right, or disapprove, right? They have the power to say no or yes, right? And so those are the people that you're gonna go to, honestly, you know, you just say no to the rate increase. Honestly, they, you know, I believe they will be perfectly fine without a rate increase because again, they are a monopoly. They have no, you know, they don't have any competition. You know what I mean? We collectively have no choice but to pay FPL, right? Florida Power and Light. And so, you know, I think just making the call and using your voice and saying how a rate increase would impact you, and that's one way to do it. And again, you know, with Florida Rising, we plan to organize to our county commissions as well to try and get them involved as well. You know, unfortunately, the public service commissions, they aren't appointed, so they aren't necessarily, you know, there's no, you know, direct public pressure, right, that we can't unelect them, right, you know. And so what I'm, you know, we're trying to collectively organize is going to our county commissions, telling our local elected officials that they need to get involved, that they need to stop their they need to say no to the rate increase. And yeah, so those are just like, you know, that's what the Public Service Commission's role to do. They're supposed to fight for fair rates on behalf of Florida consumers. They are there to serve us. And so coming to those Public Service Commission and saying, hey, this is unfair, is what we can do collectively. And also talking to your local elected officials, or any elected officials, period, you know, making this an issue with your representatives will put pressure on FPL, will put pressure on the Public Service Commission, and so that's what we want to do.
Okay, before, I got her next, but before we do, that QR code up there is the QR code that you can scan that goes to the letter to send to Senator Pizzo and Representative LaMarca. So it's up there on the screen, please scan it, and back there if you're back there as well.
All right, I just need to make a comment because I think we have to be real responsible when we're talking in a room full of people. There was particularly on the issue when people started talking about solar energy. We have to be real careful about that, particularly because we have solicitors that come into neighborhoods and they try to convince people to get the solar panels on their roof, telling you that your FP&L bill is going to be $20 if you get the solar panels, but they're going to charge you $100,000, $150,000 to put it on your house that you're going to be paying for 25 years. And by the time you're done, you're out $500,000, and people are losing their homes about this, right? So we really got to be real careful about when we're talking about information and we're throwing words out there, because we have a responsibility. I know there's a nonprofit here that they say they do solar stuff, but you got to be real careful when you talk about that, because we have people that are walking around in neighborhoods convincing people to get solar panels, and folks are losing their homes over this. So be real careful about what it is that you're talking about when you're talking about this solar energy stuff, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. And to speak out to that, if anybody ever wants to reach out to Solar United Neighbors, we have all the resources so that people know exactly what they're signing up for, making sure that they're getting a fair price and that they're looking at the type of financing. Not all the financing is tied up to your home, and you can lose your home. You're probably talking about PACE. So I totally understand where you're coming from. You're not giving it an FP&L, but you're giving your money to someone else. So you guys have to be real careful about this, because you have people being tricked thinking that they're actually saving money, and they're not. They're just giving their money to a different person.
Okay, that's all that is. I don't care if it's financing, paying it out right, whatever. You're just not giving your money to FP&L and you're giving it to someone else. So we got to be real careful about this talk, especially coming into a community telling people stuff like that.
No, when you look at I can just tell you the truth in the data. The newest plans that came through the Infrastructure Reduction Act and what's out there with the nonprofits like Solar United, there's self-help. There are several legitimate organizations that came up. Now, you can be skeptical, and skepticism, it's what it is. But I'm just letting you know this is the evidence. What we see is that you have an overall reduction in your energy cost. So you are going to pay for the equipment that you get. It is going to be less, because I don't know now with the Trump administration if you're going to get the rebates like you used to, but under the previous plan, you would have ended up spending less of your money on energy cost. It is not free. So this is what a lot of folks thought, that they were going to get solar free, but it's not free. It's going to be reduced cost because you're generating your own energy, and after about 10 years, you're ahead of the game. So it was designed that way. But the theft and things, there are legitimate organizations out there and there are illegitimate organizations. So now you got to do the work. And when we tell you these organizations are legitimate, they really are. I know of 3 legitimate organizations. I can't say for the others.
Okay, so I have time to do about 2 more questions because we are running up against the end of the time. So.
Things to tell you, places to go, things to do. Go ahead.
I just want to say, instead of sending your letters to just these 2, state representative and state senator, send it to all of them. If you send it to Broward County Commission, send it to all of them. But you have to send it individually to each of them. So let them know that you're upset about the whole thing, regardless of what area you're in, because you don't never know what's going to come in your area. So that's what you make sure about. And I just want to address Dr. Holder's, I say your name wrong. Holder's comment about, and Miss Sarah there, Miss Sandra there, people do come into our communities. We don't know who they are and what company they came from. That's what she is saying. That's what she is saying. So we wouldn't know who they're coming from. Because they come knocked on my door. I said, no, I'm going to pay my Florida light bill. But because I don't know who they are. Just be mindful. And y'all can see me outside if y'all want to get your vote by mail ballot. I got them outside of my truck. Thank you.
Okay. Wait.
But yeah, just sorry, I hate when I do that.
I thought I was talking.
y'all's here. But yeah, you speaking to, yes, there are people that are not doing it for good. I wouldn't say the solar industry is bad as a whole, but you just need to find the right people. So United Neighbors, we work with them worked in partnership with them. They are reliable folks. They will give you the right information. So if you're ever interested in that, go to Laura to talk about solar power. But yeah, it's unfortunately in Florida, it's not as regulated as it should be, which I do also think it's intentional, right? They want to keep people holding to what you have, right? The utility company that you have, and you have to pay what they give you, right? And so, I want to speak to that. That's very a true thing, and you just need to go to the right people if you really want the solar power. And again, Solar United Neighbors, I talk to them; they will give you the right resources.
And if you know of anybody that has solar that is struggling, we're there to advocate for consumers too. So also they can reach out to us, and we're happy to help them figure out what's going on.
Okay, don't hate me. I can only take one more because the church is going to be evicting us out of here. So. Don't get mad at me. We're going to be here. After, if you want to ask more questions, there's a whole host of organizations here. You didn't get to ask a question.
Hello, my name is Tessina Martin, and I have 2 questions for you, and I also have a point of solution. So my first question is there a single point of action that we can take to create a joint impact, such as joint petitions, digital signatures, and then, let's say, Zoom for those people who can't attend in person, and also in-person meetings for these events, such as, let's say, the organizations that are present do you guys have a single point where you can connect and put your resources together and bring it to a single point? That's my first question.
Yeah, we'll send you out. I think that's the goal is to create a one collective action, collective petition that can go to that can go to the Public Service Commission, and yeah, we are in collective coalition with each other. That's why we created as partners. We all put this together and to organize and educate the communities on this rate increase, and then sorry, the rest of your question. Oh yeah, and yes, there is a virtual hearing that will be happening in May, and if we can get the dates for that as well. So there is a virtual component, but as always, I will always suggest in person is incredibly powerful. So if you can't make it, go ahead and go to that virtual thing. Actually, if you even want to, go to both. Come in person and go on virtual. But yeah, I will always suggest coming in person to hear your voice, to see their faces. Put that pressure on them.
Okay, thank you for that. And my second point goes to the community as a whole. Please listen to what I'm about to tell you. Come to your HOA meetings, support your city commissioners because it's super important. And for those of you, I think Miss Sandra, is that your name? Miss Sandra? To respond to you, the HOAs, according to Florida Section 720 and Chapter 40 in the Florida Code, your HOA can put in requirements that before any of these companies come to solicit, they have to present it to your HOA board, which will help protect you. That is Florida law. So please support your HOAs, support your commissioners. It's super important. There are protections to help you, but we cannot sit at home and not show up. So please, your next HOA meeting, find out who the president, secretary is. Get your butts there. It is important. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, well, the QR code disappeared. It's running away. Let's bring it back. Okay, so scan this if you haven't. Send a letter. There is a tablet going around, and please, 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 if you haven't, fill that out. There's going to be a lot of your questions answered in that email, resources, information on action that we can take. And you can scan this QR code, and there's going to be some information there, too, about how you're going to get a lot more if you fill out the tablet. Okay, well, again, thanks to everybody, to our incredible panel for being here, to everyone for coming out to the town hall. And yes, did you fill out the tablet? Okay. Good night. Also, there is still refreshments in the back if you'd like to take some home, eat some here. Feel free to go in the back and grab some cookies, something to drink. And if you haven't signed in, please, please, please sign in.